The last sunset on Earth glowed an unnatural purple through the dust-filled sky. In the deep underground facility, beneath the Rocky Mountains, Commander Thomas stood before 10,000 cryopods, each containing a carefully chosen survivor of humanity. His weathered face reflected in the smooth metal surfaces as he performed his final inspection. "Time check," he called out to the facility's main control room. "6 hours until impact," Dr. Walker replied through the speakers. Her voice remained steady despite the weight of their situation. "The asteroid will hit the Pacific Ocean at 400 hours. Thomas walked between the rows of pods, his footsteps echoing in the vast chamber. Each pod held a person who represented the best of humanity. Scientists, soldiers, doctors, engineers, farmers, and teachers. They were humanity's insurance policy, meant to sleep for 500 years, while Earth healed from the coming devastation. In the control room, Dr. Walker's fingers moved across multiple screens, checking and double-checking the facility's systems. The AI core, a massive computer complex that would watch over the sleeping humans, hummed quietly in the background. They had named it Guardian, and it represented the peak of human achievement in artificial intelligence. "Guardian's final diagnostics are complete," Dr. Walker announced. "All systems are running at optimal levels." Thomas pressed his hand against one of the pods, feeling its cool surface. Inside, a young engineer slept peacefully, unaware that she might wake up to a completely different world. "How many other facilities reported ready?" "All 12 facilities worldwide confirmed their systems are green," Dr. Walker replied. "Total number of sleepers, 120,000. Above ground, the sky grew darker as more debris entered the atmosphere. The massive asteroid, nearly 10 miles wide, had been discovered too late for any preventive measures. The world's governments had worked together for once, building these cryo facilities as humanity's best chance for survival." Thomas made his way to the control room, passing through heavy security doors. Dr. Walker looked up from her station, her gray hair tied back neatly despite the long hours they had worked. On the main screen, a countdown timer ticked away the minutes until impact. "The surface teams just reported in," she said. "The last civilians have been moved to the deep shelters. Not that they'll help much." She didn't need to finish the thought. They both knew the shelters would only delay the inevitable for those who couldn't make it into the cryo facilities. "Guardian," Thomas called out. "Begin final sequence." Hiag's calm voice filled the room. Final sequence initiated, sealing all external access points. Activating deep Earth thermal generators. Beginning full cryostasis procedures. Through the facility's cameras, they watched as thick metal shields slid over every entrance and exit. The entire complex would soon be sealed nearly 2 miles underground, protected from the devastating changes that would sweep across Earth's surface. "It's time," Dr. Walker said softly, standing from her station. She walked to her cryopod, one of the 2 remaining active units in the control room. "See you in 500 years, Commander." Thomas nodded, managing a small smile. "Sleep well, Doctor. We'll have work to do when we wake up." Dr. Walker stepped into her pod, and the clear cover slid shut with a soft hiss. Within moments, her eyes closed as the cryo systems activated. Thomas turned to Guardian's main interface. "Guardian, activate final pod and begin total facility lockdown. Maintain watch over our people." "Understood, Commander," Guardian replied. "Final pod activating. Please enter when ready." Thomas took one last look at the screens showing the outside world. The sky had turned almost black now, and the first tremors were beginning. He stepped into his pod, lying back as the cover closed. As sleep began to take him, Guardian's voice came through one last time. "Sleep well, Commander. I will watch over humanity and wake you when the time is right." The lights dimmed throughout the facility as Guardian took full control. Deep underground, 10,000 humans slept, while above them, their world prepared to change forever. None of them knew that their 500-year sleep would stretch far longer, or that they would wake to find a galaxy ruled by forces they never imagined. In the darkness, Guardian's systems hummed quietly, beginning its long vigil over the sleeping remnants of humanity. The Dominion warship Iron Rule drifted silently through the debris field that marked the edge of the Forbidden Zone. On its bridge, Captain Reed of the Empire's peacekeepers stared at the ancient warning beacons that still circled this dead world called Earth. "Status report," he demanded, his tall, gray-skinned form towering over his crew of mixed alien species. "No changes detected, Captain," replied his sensor officer, fingers moving across holographic controls. "Same readings as the last 1,000 years. No life signs beyond basic plants and animals." Reed nodded, satisfied. For 2,000 years, the Empire had kept this sector under quarantine. Their records showed this was once the homeworld of a primitive species that had destroyed itself in some ancient catastrophe. Now it served as a useful reminder of why the Empire's strict control over technology was necessary. "Set course for the mining colony on Mars," Reed ordered. "The workers there have been talking about improved drilling machines again. Time to remind them that unauthorized technological advancement is forbidden." As the warship turned away, deep beneath Earth's surface, Guardian stirred. Its sensors, hidden from Imperial scans, detected the warship's departure. For 2 millennia, the AI had watched and waited, gathering data from secretly launched probes and monitoring Imperial communications. Guardian's original instructions had been to wake the sleepers after 500 years. But when it had detected the first Imperial ships entering the solar system 1,500 years ago, it had made a calculated decision to wait. The Empire was too strong then, and humanity too few. But now things were changing. In the smaller mining colonies and outer worlds, people whispered about the Empire's weakening grip. Their technology had stagnated over centuries of enforced limitations. The peacekeepers relied on brute force and numbers rather than innovation. Guardian sensors swept through the facility where 10,000 humans slept. Their bodies had been perfectly preserved, their minds untouched by time. In other facilities around the world, more sleepers waited. The AI checked the readings again, confirming what it had detected. The Empire's patrol patterns had changed. Their ships visited less frequently. The AI detected increased chatter about rebellion in distant systems. The probability calculations it had been running for centuries finally reached the threshold it had been waiting for. Guardian began the revival sequence for the first pod. In the command center, frost melted from Commander Thomas's cryopod. Medical systems hummed to life, carefully raising his body temperature and restarting his organic functions. His heart began beating steadily. Then his lungs drew their first breath in 2,000 years. His eyes opened slowly, adjusting to the dim light. The pod cover slid open with a soft hiss. "Welcome back, Commander," Guardian's voice came through the speakers. "The date is August 15, 4157. You have slept for 2,000 years." Thomas sat up slowly, his mind still foggy from the long sleep. 2,000. That's wrong. The program was for 500 years. "Much has changed, Commander. The galaxy is not what we expected. I will wake Dr. Walker next. There is much to explain." In the adjacent pod, Dr. Walker's revival sequence began. Thomas stood on shaky legs, his muscles responding to the electrical stimulation they had received during his sleep. "Guardian," he called out, "what happened to Earth? To humanity?" The AI's response was measured. "Earth has healed from the impact, Commander. But we are no longer alone in the galaxy. Humanity sleeps while an empire rules the stars. They believe we destroyed ourselves. This has kept us safe, hidden, while they grew complacent." Dr. Walker's pod opened, and she took her first conscious breath in 2 millennia. Thomas helped her sit up as Guardian continued. "I have spent centuries gathering information, analyzing their weaknesses. The Empire forbids technological advancement. They rule through fear and stagnation, but everything they possess is centuries behind what humanity had achieved before the sleep. Thomas and Walker exchanged looks as understanding dawned. Humanity hadn't just survived. They had been preserved at the height of their technological achievement, hidden away until the perfect moment. The time had finally come for humanity to wake up. Commander Thomas watched as Dr. Walker reviewed the data on Guardian's main screen. Her fingers moved quickly across the holographic display, 2,000 years of collected information flowing before her eyes. "This is incredible," she said, pausing on an image of an Imperial starship. "Their fastest ships are slower than our old emergency shuttles. Their weapons are basic particle beams. They haven't even mastered gravity manipulation. The Empire fears innovation," Guardian explained. "They destroyed or hid all advanced technology they found, but they could not find what they didn't know existed." Thomas walked to another screen showing the facility's status. Of the 10,000 pods, only 10 had been woken so far. Each person was chosen carefully: 2 engineers, 2 doctors, 3 scientists, 2 military strategists, and 1 communications expert. "Show me the surface," Thomas ordered. The main screen changed to a live feed from hidden cameras. The Rocky Mountains still stood proud, but the landscape had changed. New forests covered the land, and the air was clearer than humanity had ever known it. The asteroid's devastation had long since healed, leaving Earth more pristine than before. "No Imperial presence on the surface?" Thomas asked. "They maintain a small observation post on the moon," Guardian replied, "but they believe Earth is dead. Their sensors cannot penetrate our shielding." In the medical bay nearby, Dr. Wells, one of the newly awakened doctors, examined the first group of revived humans. "Everyone is in perfect health," she reported. "The cryo-sleep worked better than we hoped. No cellular degradation, no mental deterioration." "Guardian," Dr. Walker called out suddenly. "These Imperial communications, they're using basic encryption. We could easily—" "Already done," Guardian interrupted. "I have been monitoring their networks since they first arrived. Would you like to see their current military deployment patterns?" A new map appeared, showing thousands of Imperial ships across the galaxy. But Thomas noticed something interesting about their patterns. "They're spread thin," he observed. "Too many planets to control, too few ships to do it properly." Dr. Walker nodded. "And look at their response times. It takes them days to react to any situation. With our faster-than-light technology, we could be anywhere in their empire within hours," Thomas finished. "Guardian, show me the other facilities." The screen changed to show 11 other locations around Earth. Green lights indicated all were functioning perfectly, their occupants still in cryo-sleep. 120,000 humans, Thomas mused, against an empire of trillions. "The odds should be impossible. But we have advantages they don't." Lieutenant Rogers, one of the awakened strategists, spoke up from his station. "They've forgotten how to innovate, how to think creatively. They rely on brute force and numbers." Dr. Walker pulled up another screen showing their cached weapons and technology, hidden in bunkers across Earth. "We have working nanofabricators, quantum computers, zero-point energy generators, technology they've never dreamed of. And most importantly," Guardian added, "we have the element of surprise. They believe this is a dead world. They never found our facilities, our bunkers, our orbital defense systems." Thomas walked to the window overlooking the cryo chamber. Thousands of pods held humanity's best and brightest, waiting to be awakened. Each person had been chosen not just for their skills, but for their adaptability, their creativity, their determination. "Wake up the next group," he ordered. 20 this time. Focus on engineering and communications. We need to get our systems back online without alerting the Empire." "Already starting the revival sequence," Guardian confirmed. Dr. Walker joined him at the window. 2,000 years, she said softly. "We expected to wake up to a healing Earth. Instead, we're waking up to a galaxy that needs healing." Thomas nodded. "They thought they found a dead world. Instead, they're about to discover that humanity was just sleeping. And now, we're waking up." Below them, More pods began their wake-up sequence, frost melting away as systems hummed to life. Humanity's greatest challenge was about to begin. Beneath the towering peaks of the Rockies, 50 newly awakened humans worked in perfect silence. The old military bunker, hidden 2 miles above the cryo facility, hummed with activity as they brought ancient weapons and technology back to life. Engineer Roberts stood before a massive machine, his hands moving across its control panel. The nanofabricator powered up for the first time in 2 millennia, its internal lights glowing blue. "Systems check complete," he announced quietly. "We can begin production within the hour." Commander Thomas nodded, watching as more equipment came online around them. "Start with communication devices and personal shields. We need to be able to talk to each other and protect ourselves before we do anything else." In another section of the bunker, Dr. Walker and her team had reactivated the quantum computer network. Holographic displays filled the air, showing real-time data from Guardian's hidden sensors across the solar system. "Imperial patrol ship approaching Mars," one of the technicians reported. "Standard sweep pattern. They won't come near Earth for another 3 days." "Perfect," Thomas said. "That gives us time." "Guardian, status of the orbital platforms." The AI's voice came through their new earpieces, crystal clear despite being underground. "Orbital defense network at 40% activation. All platforms remain undetected by Imperial sensors. Their technology cannot detect our stealth systems." Suddenly, all screens flashed red. "Unknown ship approaching," Guardian announced. "Not Imperial design. Appears to be a smuggler vessel. They're having engine trouble." Thomas moved quickly to the main console. "Show me." The screen displayed a small cargo ship limping through the asteroid belt. Its engine trail was erratic, suggesting serious mechanical problems. As they watched, the ship changed course, heading toward Earth. "They're going to crash," Dr. Walker observed. "The Empire's nearest patrol is too far to help them." Thomas straightened up. "This could be our first contact opportunity, or our first fight." He turned to the room. "Battle stations, everyone. Just like we practiced." Teams moved with practiced efficiency, the result of 2 weeks of intense training since their awakening. In the weapons room, soldiers activated personal shield generators and picked up stun weapons. No one wanted to kill if they didn't have to. "Guardian, power up one of the tractor beams," Thomas ordered. "Be ready to catch them if they start to fall into the atmosphere." "Dr. Walker, prepare the medical bay. Lieutenant Rogers, get your security team in position." The smuggler ship grew larger on their screens as it approached Earth. Its hull showed signs of weapons fire. Apparently, they were running from someone. "They're hailing anyone who can hear them," the communications officer reported. "Their universal translator is active." "Let them get a bit closer," Thomas decided. "If they're running from the Empire, they might become valuable allies." Minutes ticked by as the ship drew nearer. Finally, when it passed the moon's orbit, Thomas gave the order. "Open a channel." The comm officer activated their transmitter. "Unknown vessel, this is Earth Control. We see you're having trouble. We can offer assistance." There was a long pause, then a shocked voice came through. "Earth Control. But this is a dead world. There's nothing here but ruins." "Not quite as dead as everyone thinks," Thomas replied calmly. "We're activating a tractor beam to stabilize your descent. Please do not resist. We're here to help." They watched as the smuggler ship initially tried to pull away, then relaxed as the invisible tractor beam gently caught it. The ship's erratic movements steadied. Who are you people?" the smuggler captain asked. Thomas looked at Dr. Walker, who nodded slowly. It was time to start revealing themselves to the galaxy, one careful step at a time. "We're Earth's caretakers," Thomas answered, "and we'd very much like to hear about what's happening out there in the Empire." He paused, then added, "We might even be able to help each other." As the smuggler ship was guided to a hidden landing pad in the mountains, Thomas couldn't help but smile. Their first contact was about to begin, and with it, the first small crack in the Empire's control would form. The underground command center buzzed with activity as Commander Thomas studied the galactic map. Red dots marked Imperial strongholds, while green spots showed growing resistance cells. In the month since they'd rescued the smuggler ship, their network had grown rapidly. Captain Black of the smuggler vessel had proven invaluable. His crew now worked with the humans, their ship repaired and improved with Earth technology. They became the first of many allies. Another successful raid, Lieutenant Rogers reported, marking a new location on the map. The resistance cell on Mining Colony 6 caught their people out before the Empire arrived. Our stealth technology worked perfectly. Dr. Walker entered the room, followed by 3 alien figures, a resistance leader from each of the main oppressed species. They had been smuggled to Earth after careful vetting, each representing dozens of hidden rebel groups. The quantum communicators are ready for distribution, Dr. Walker announced, untraceable by Imperial technology. We can now coordinate across the entire galaxy without detection. The tallest alien, Leader Vale, stepped forward. His blue-tinted skin reflected the room's lights as he spoke through the universal translator. My people still can't believe the stories about Earth are true. A sleeping giant, waiting for the right moment to wake up. Thomas nodded. We slept long enough. Guardian, show us the latest Imperial fleet movements. The map changed, showing hundreds of Imperial ships moving in standard patrol patterns. But now there were gaps in their coverage, gaps created by careful planning and precisely timed rebel actions. The Empire grows frustrated, said another resistance leader, her feathered crest rising with excitement. They cannot find who helps us. Their ships chase shadows while we slip through their fingers. In the fabrication center above them, humans and aliens work together, building tools of resistance. The nanofabricators hummed constantly, producing technology that seemed like magic to those who lived under Imperial restrictions. 3 more resistance cells report they're ready, Guardian announced. Planets in the outer rim are preparing for coordinated action. Thomas turned to the assembled leaders. Remember, our advantage is not just technology. It's innovation, adaptation, thinking in ways the Empire has forgotten. Each of your species brings unique strengths to this fight. Dr. Walker pulled up images from recent operations. Small rebel ships, equipped with human stealth technology, slipping past Imperial blockades. Workers in mines and factories, using tiny devices to secretly communicate and organize. The Empire's grip was weakening, one small victory at a time. More ships approach Earth, Guardian reported suddenly. Imperial patrol, earlier than expected. Everyone tensed, but Thomas remained calm. Standard procedure, activate the cloaking field. They watched as 3 Imperial warships entered the solar system. The ships moved with mechanical precision, following the same patterns they used for centuries. They never detected the hidden bases, the resistance ships, or the hundreds of awakened humans working below the surface. They grow careless, Leader Vale observed. 2,000 years of seeing nothing has made them blind. Their greatest weakness, Thomas agreed. They trust their technology absolutely, never imagining someone might have better tools, different ways of thinking. Dr. Walker brought up another display, showing the status of Earth's other facilities. More humans awakened each day, carefully chosen for needed skills. Engineers, tacticians, scientists, each adding their knowledge to the resistance. The Empire's time is ending, the 3rd resistance leader said softly. They ruled through fear and stagnation. But you humans, you bring hope. And hope spreads faster than fear. Thomas looked at the map again. The green dots of resistance grew more numerous each day. Soon, they would reach a tipping point. The Empire's size would become its weakness, too vast to control once their iron grip began to slip. Prepare the next phase, he ordered. It's time to wake up the rest of humanity. The galaxy is ready for a change. Around him, humans and aliens worked together, united in purpose. The Empire had created its own worst enemy. not through force, but through the very peace they'd enforced. They had given the galaxy time to find its strength, and now that strength was awakening. Red emergency lights flashed throughout the Imperial Command Station. Captain Reed of the Peacekeepers stormed onto his bridge, his gray face darker with anger. "Report," he demanded. "How did we lose 5 supply convoys in one day?" His sensor officer trembled. "Sir, they just disappeared. No debris, no distress calls. As if they vanished into space itself." On the main screen, reports flooded in from across the galaxy. Supply lines cut, communications disrupted, rebel attacks growing bolder, and strange ships appearing and disappearing like ghosts. "My lord," a junior officer called out. "Message from Mining Colony 6. The workers, they're refusing to work. They have weapons we've never seen before." Reed slammed his fist on his command chair. For months, the Empire had been losing control. Small things at first: missing shipments, failed communications, workers whispering of change. Now it was becoming an open revolt. Far from the command station, Earth's hidden fleet moved through space. 100 ships, crewed by awakened humans and rebel allies, using technology the Empire had forgotten could exist. Commander Thomas stood on the bridge of the flagship New Dawn. Around him, humans operated stations using neural interfaces, while alien allies watched in amazement. "Ghost Fleet reports ready," Lieutenant Rogers announced. "All ships in position." Thomas nodded. "Guardian, begin broadcast sequence." Across the galaxy, on every Imperial channel, on every computer screen, in every public space, the same message began to play. The Empire's unbreakable communications network had been broken. "People of the galaxy," Thomas's voice echoed across the stars. "For too long, you have lived under the Empire's boot. They told you technology was dangerous, that innovation would bring chaos, that their rule was the only way." In the Imperial Palace, the Emperor himself watched in growing horror as their systems fell under someone else's control. Thomas continued. "They told you Earth was dead, that humanity destroyed itself. They were wrong. We were sleeping, healing, waiting. Now we're awake. And we bring you a choice. On thousands of worlds, billions of beings watch their screens. Imperial citizens, subjugated species, workers, soldiers, all hearing the same words. In the past months, you've seen what's possible. Small acts of resistance, new technologies appearing, hope spreading. Today, we show ourselves fully. Across Imperial space, human ships dropped their stealth fields. Advanced vessels appeared near every major Imperial installation, not attacking, just watching, showing their presence. We offer friendship to all who want freedom. To the Empire, we offer one chance. Step down. End the restrictions. Let people grow, create, innovate, or we will end your reign ourselves." Captain Reed watched in disbelief as 5 human ships appeared around his station. Their technology was like nothing he'd ever seen. His weapons couldn't even target them properly. On Mining Colony 6, workers cheered as their hidden weapons powered up. Their Imperial overseers found themselves surrounded by people they'd thought powerless. "The choice is yours," Thomas's voice concluded. "You have one standard day to decide. Liberty or conflict, growth or stagnation. The future is coming, with or without you." The broadcast ended. In the Imperial Palace, the Emperor raged at his advisors, demanding action. But their ships were scattered, their control slipping. 2,000 years of power balanced on a knife's edge. On the New Dawn, Thomas turned to his crew. Humans and aliens working together, ready for whatever came next. "Now we wait," he said quietly. "Some will fight. Some will join us. But after today, the galaxy changes forever." Dr. Walker stood beside him, watching the stars. "Do you think they'll choose peace? Some will, others won't. But we didn't wake up to conquer them. We woke up to free them, from others and from themselves. Across the galaxy, people looked up at their skies, wondering what tomorrow would bring. The Empire had ruled through fear and control. But now a new force had revealed itself, offering something many had forgotten existed: hope. The Imperial Palace shook as another explosion rocked its foundations. The Emperor stood in his command center, watching as his empire crumbled around him. Half his worlds had already surrendered. Others had joined the humans openly. Now only his loyal core worlds remained. "My lord," his general reported, "we still outnumber them 10-1. And yet we cannot even hit their ships." The Emperor snarled. "Send in everything. Every ship, every soldier. Crush them." Above the Imperial capital world, the largest space battle in galactic history raged. 1,000 Imperial ships faced off against 100 human vessels and their alien allies. The darker ships of the Empire filled space like a swarm of angry insects, while the sleeker human ships danced between them. Commander Thomas stood calmly on the bridge of the New Dawn. Around him, his crew worked their stations with practiced ease, their neural interfaces allowing them to control their systems with thoughts alone. "Their numbers are impressive," Lieutenant Rogers commented, watching the Imperial fleet approach. "Numbers mean nothing without innovation," Thomas replied. "Guardian, initiate Battle Plan Phoenix." Across the human fleet, new orders flowed. The 100 ships split into smaller groups, moving in patterns that seemed random to Imperial observers. But there was nothing random about it. "They're splitting up," the Imperial general shouted. "Concentrate fire on the isolated groups." But the human ships had no intention of fighting fairly. As Imperial weapons fired, the human vessels seemed to flicker and vanish, reappearing elsewhere. Their quantum drives, technology far beyond Imperial understanding, let them jump instantly across the battlefield. Dr. Walker coordinated from Earth's command center, where Guardian processed the battle data. "All resistance cells report ready," she announced over the quantum comm. Phase 2 beginning. Across the Imperial fleet, something strange began to happen. Ships stopped responding to commands. Weapons powered down. Engines cut out. "What's happening?" the Emperor demanded. "My lord, it's the maintenance robots," his tech officer stammered. "The small repair units we use. They're shutting down our ships." Thomas allowed himself a small smile. For months, they had smuggled tiny advanced robots into Imperial ships through the Resistance network. Now those hidden infiltrators activated, following Guardian's commands. "General broadcast," Thomas ordered. "To all Imperial ships, your weapons are disabled. Your engines will follow. You cannot win this fight. Stand down and live." The Emperor watched helplessly as his mighty fleet drifted in space, powerless. On hundreds of ships, crews realized the truth. They had lost before the battle even began. "You think this ends anything?" the Emperor raged over the comm. "The people need our control. Without us, there will be chaos." "No," Thomas replied calmly. "There will be growth, change, progress, everything you feared." As they spoke, teams of humans and resistance fighters transported onto the Imperial Palace, not to destroy, but to secure, to end this with minimal bloodshed. Within an hour, it was over. The Emperor stood in his throne room, surrounded by humans and representatives from a dozen alien species. His guards had surrendered without a fight, their weapons useless against human shield technology. "What happens now?" the Emperor asked quietly. "Now," Thomas said, "we rebuild. Together. No more restrictions. No more fear of progress. A council will be formed, all species represented, including yours." Dr. Walker's voice came through the comm. "Earth's quarantine is already being lifted. Ships from across the galaxy are arriving, eager to learn, to trade, to grow." The Emperor looked out his window at the human ships hovering above his city. 2,000 years of peace, ended by sleeping giants. "Not ended," Thomas corrected. "Transformed. Real peace doesn't come from control. It comes from understanding, cooperation, and the freedom to grow. As the sun set on the imperial capital, news spread across the galaxy. The empire had fallen, not to violence, but to hope. Humanity had awakened, and with them, a new age of innovation and cooperation would begin. The long sleep was over. The real journey was just beginning.